Romeo and Juliet, Act 3, Scene 4. And this scene takes place at the Capulet's house, and as I mentioned before, it surprises me every time. The first time I saw the play, read the play, I certainly was surprised by this, but I still am baffled by it every time I see it. It's a scene between Capulet and Count Paris. Remember, Count Paris is a cousin to the prince who, at the beginning of the play, wanted to marry Juliet. And Lord Capulet had said some things that were intended to dissuade him, but he had also encouraged him to come to the party that night. We never saw Count Paris at the party that night. However, we have to assume that he was there. What is Count Paris doing here at the Capulet's house on the second night of the play after Romeo has killed Tybalt? He's probably here to offer his condolences to the Capulet family for the loss of Tybalt, maybe bringing condolences from the prince's family. It's possible. But the scene turns very quickly. We have to talk a little bit about characterization and politics here. First thing I'd like to talk about is politics. What could Lord Capulet gain now that Tybalt, the hot-headed member of his family, is gone and Romeo, the only son of his enemy, is banished? What could he gain by having his daughter marry into the prince's family? I don't want to go too far into giving him too many underhanded notions here, but it looks to me like it's possible that he thinks he could win the entire town. If his daughter were to marry into the prince's family and the Montagues now no longer have an heir, then it looks to me like he thinks maybe he could get the upper hand, and maybe the town of Verona would be his. Now, I can add some other things that have to do with characterization that kind of back up my point. The first thing is we have to think of Lord Capulet at first as wishing he were a doting father, wishing that he at least were perceived by everyone as someone who wants what's best for Juliet. I want to take you back to the first scene that we saw with Count Paris and Capulet after the fight in the streets, and Paris is suing, as they put it, for the hand of Juliet. And in Act 1, Scene 2, in the street, first of all, I'd like to go back and remind you of a line. Count Paris says, "Younger than she, Juliet, our happy mother's maid." In other words, younger women than the not yet 14 Juliet are happy mothers. And Capulet says, "And too soon marred are those so early made." Remember, his own wife was one of those. And it suggests that perhaps the relationship between Lord Capulet and Lady Capulet is not the best because she was too soon marred at having been made such an early mother. But then he says, and he's talking about Juliet, in line 15, or starting in 14, "The earth has swallowed all my hopes but she. She is the hopeful lady of my earth. But woo her, gentle Paris, get her heart. My will to her consent is but a part. And she agree within her scope of choice lies my consent and fair according voice." What he's saying there is, she's the hopeful lady of my earth. The earth has swallowed all my hopes but she. But if you woo her and get her consent to my will, notice the word will, is but a part. In other words, I will not marry Juliet to anyone she does not want to be married to. That's an interesting thing for him to say. Sounds great. He's being magnanimous there in the street. Later, we see a little bit more of this man's temperament. By the way, I would like to remind you that it's not long after that we see Lady Capulet come to Juliet and try to convince her that Paris would be a good person to marry. And Juliet says, "I'll look to like," this is Act 1, Scene 3. The next scene in the Capulet's house, she tells her mother, "I'll look to like if looking liking move." That's great alliteration. "But no more deep will I endart mine eye than your consent gives strength to make it fly." In other words, Cupid's arrow will not be smitten into the heart of any man unless you first tell me that it is okay, mother. And we know that's not true, because here's a little bit of dramatic irony, just straight up situational irony. There's just a lot of irony going on in this scene, because while Count Paris and Lord Capulet are downstairs discussing marriage to Juliet, Romeo has just snuck into Juliet's bedroom. And Juliet, who had said she would never do anything without the will and consent of her parents, is about to do something that they have no idea she's doing with her husband. Okay, so we later see Lord Capulet and we learn more about his character at the party. And remember that Tybalt had recognized Romeo at the party and considered him a villain. He thought he was um, sort of going against, disrespecting the family name by showing up at a party where he wasn't invited, and that was really why he was there, was to disrespect the Capulets, to cause problems. And Lord Capulet had said this. This is Act 1. This is during the party scene, during the dance. Act 1, Scene 5, in line about 67. He says to Tybalt, "Content thee, gentle coz, let him alone. He bears him like a portly gentleman, and to say truth, Verona brags of him, to be a virtuous and well-governed youth." Wonder if he thinks that now that he's killed Tybalt. "I would not for the wealth of all this town here in my house do him disparagement. Therefore be patient, take no note of him, and notice the word, it is my will. The which if thou respect, show a fair presence, and put off these frowns as an ill-becoming semblance for a feast. You're going to mess up my daughter's party." So he is, of course, not concerned with Romeo because he wants Count Paris to meet Juliet tonight. And for that all to work out, he has no idea that by doing this, by keeping Tybalt from kicking Romeo out, he's actually encouraging what's about to happen. Then Tybalt argues with him, and finally in line 81, Capulet says, "Am I the master here or you? Go to, you'll not endure him. God shall mend my soul, you'll make a mutiny among my guests." And Tybalt continues to argue, and finally Capulet says this, "You are a saucy boy. Is it so indeed? This trick may chance to scathe you." It actually does. He's a little bit of prophecy there, a little foreshadowing. "I know what. You must contrary me? Marry, 'tis time. Well said, my hearts." Now, what he does is he tries to play the gracious host. He turns back to the dancers. "Well said, my hearts." And he turns back to Tybalt and says, "You are a princox. Go. Be quiet or—" There's a pause, and he turns back and says, "More light, more light." And then he turns back to Tybalt and says, "For shame, I'll make you quiet. What cheerily, my hearts." And that's when Tybalt swears he's going to kill Romeo and storms out of the feast. So we have a little bit about Lord Capulet here. He is fine as long as everyone is doing what he wants them to do. As soon as they stop doing what he wants them to do, he can become a pretty ugly character. Which brings us to the scene where we are now. He is in his own house. Tybalt has been killed. Romeo has been banished. He thinks Juliet is upstairs weeping over Tybalt's death, which she is partially, but mostly because she can't see her husband. And this is what Lord Capulet says beginning in line 1. "Things have fallen out, sir, so unluckily that we have had no time to move our daughter. I haven't had a chance to talk to her. Look you, she loved her kinsman Tybalt dearly, and so did I. Well, we were born to die." He loved him dearly. That's all he's got to say about Tybalt? Oh well, everyone dies. Tybalt was a pawn in his little game, as is everyone else. In line 8, Paris says, "These times of woe afford no time to woo." He's right. Of course you don't come to a house where someone's been murdered and expect to take the daughter out on a date. He's literally saying that. And Lady Capulet comes in, and on line 11 she says, "Tonight she's mewed up to her heaviness." And Lord Capulet turns and says to Count Paris, "I think she will be ruled in all respects by me. Nay, more, I doubt it not." Ruled. She'll do what I decree. She'll do what I order. Wednesday next. But soft, what day is this? And this is where we find out what day of the play we're in. "Monday, my lord." "Monday? Ha ha, well, Wednesday is too soon. You think? A Thursday let it be. A Thursday, tell her, she shall be married to this noble earl." And this gets really interesting. "Do you like this haste? We'll keep no great ado. A friend or two. For hark you, Tybalt being slain so late, it may be thought we held him carelessly, being our kinsman if we revel much." Is he thinking about Juliet and a wonderful, happy, big wedding like every little girl dreams of? She's a wealthy person in this town. She probably has a lot of people she would like to invite. The family has friends they would like to invite. Because Tybalt has been murdered, however, her father says, "Well, if we throw a big party 3 days after Tybalt's murder, it might look bad, so maybe we should keep it to just a few friends." Yeah, he's not thinking of Juliet at all. He wants to get this thing done. Why? Because time is of the essence. Because he can take over the town. "If we revel much, therefore we'll have some half a dozen friends, and there an end. But what say you to Thursday?" Now Count Paris says, "Well, I wish Thursday were tomorrow." He's very excited about this. Is what he wanted. And as the scene ends, Lord Capulet says, "It is so very, very late that we may call it early by and by. Good night." Why do you think Shakespeare wants us to know that? Because it's nearly morning. What is going on upstairs while he is talking to Count Paris and the mother about Count Paris marrying Juliet? Juliet is consummating her marriage to Romeo. Absolutely unbeknownst to anyone else except the nurse in the family. And of course, we get to scene 5, which takes place in the Capulet's orchard the next morning.